Hey people, how's it going? Long time no see. We have quite a bit of time until the NBA starts going, and as much as I would love to make a video about the Ben Simmons saga and why it's still a complete mess, I thought it might be useful to get back to my roots. The roots are not very deep because we haven't been making YouTube videos that long, but if you go back and look at my first YouTube videos, they were about Rocket League because I really love Rocket League. I think it's a really fun game. I love watching people who are very, very good at it play for hours and hours and then log on and within 5 minutes remember why I'm not an elite player. And it's very frustrating. And so I continue to do it because I'm addicted to it. But over the weekend, we had the WePlay Invitational. This is an event where we're getting a first look at a lot of teams as we head into the next RLCS season. We're not quite there yet. We got to see a first look at quite a few teams. Some teams recurring from last season. We got to see BDS come back, looking exactly the same as they did the season before. The same with the likes of a lot of top NA teams with Space Station, Envy, NRG returning similar rosters. And we got to see a lot of these new teams. I was super excited, as a lot of people, to see what Dignitas was going to look like with Scrubkilla. I was excited to see what the new phase lineup was going to look like, even though they had DAP subbing in for Illusion. But there was a lot of new stuff that we got to see over the weekend, and it was exciting to just have a Rocket League event again. It hasn't been a super long time, but it's been a while. So I just wanted to make this quick video. I'm not gonna cover all of the teams just because there's some teams that just really don't garner a lot. I mean, I'm not going to talk at length about Rogue. That lineup is diminished because they lost first killer, shocker. But I did want to go through a lot of the top teams, just talk through the event in general, what I think about some of the rosters, what I anticipate seeing for some of these teams, things that I thought played important parts in this tournament in specific, and a couple series as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and start out in EU, or I guess in this case EMEA, just because I thought that the product was better from them overall as opposed to NA. All of the teams that were in there, all of the teams on that EU side, I was interested to see what they looked like. Even Sandrock, who performed pretty poorly in this event, I was really interested to see them, and also it's a big moment for Sandrock to be able to finally start participating in RLCS events like this. So I'm going to go ahead and start out with the champions, which was Carmine Corp or Carmine Core. KC, it's some iteration of those. I've seen basically everyone who talk about them list those three names in that order. It's something like that. I don't know what the exact answer is. I'm sure once one of them gets on the desk, somebody will ask and we'll have it all figured out. But they were super exciting all tournament long. Of course, everybody knows Astral. He's one of the wonder kids to go along with, First Killer and people like that. These peak of powers, young players who have come onto the scene and just totally taken over. He was playing next to he's Astral is now playing next to Itachi and Stake. Itachi, one of my favorite players from last season. Basically, anytime I saw an Itachi highlight, it was something that absolutely blew my mind. I think he's phenomenal. And coming into this, I grossly underrated Stake. He seemed like he was just kind of that third guy who was just on this roster, but man, Stake is really, really important to the success of this team. I mean, he is rock solid when Astral or Itachi or Astral and Itachi are in the zone. There's a couple of games where Stake will have 3 or 4 goals throughout this tournament. It's just because he'll intercept a pass and just score the exact same goal several times again and again. Until the team adjusts, Stake will continue to punish, which is super important for a guy who is the third most important player on this team as far as pop off ability or fame, all the things that we associate with Itachi and Astral, we don't hold Stake to as high of a standard. But with that being said, Stake still is an incredible player who I did not properly value heading into this, and I will have to keep that in mind going forward. I thought Itachi honestly started out kind of slow in this event, which makes sense. They're a brand new org, right? They just started teaming together, and it's very difficult to include a new person into your lineup. Itachi and Stake were teammates beforehand, right? It's very difficult to incorporate a new player into your roster, It's exceptionally difficult when it is a top level talent. It's as if the Philadelphia 76ers signed Damian Lillard, right? Obviously, that is a massive talent upgrade, but it can be difficult to incorporate a new high level player into your roster like that. But they did an incredible job of it. I thought Astro looked really good early. I thought Stake was there when they needed him throughout the tournament. And Itachi started to heat up as the tournament went along as well. I absolutely love Itachi, like I said earlier, but man, that car design that he was using was not my favorite. If you didn't see it, it was this weird, like garnet maroony color with white, and then the wheels were like a dark, shiny blue. It did not match very well, I didn't think. But you know what? At least it was creative, because we see so many of these car designs that just lack full creativity. It blows me away. I mean, this is basically your job, right? You are on Rocket League all day, every day, and you have no ability to create your own unique car design. It blows me away. And look, I'm not saying that everybody has to be like a fashion model in Rocket League. If that's not your bag, then it's not your bag, but at least show some creativity. The amount of stock tains, the amount of the mint green shisha that people use all the time, the amount of those weird like cheese wheels. I know it's like an Alpha Boost wheel or something like that. That with the stock tane, just the straight up stock tane. That weird car that everybody uses where it's those same set of wheels, but then it's like the 20XX design where it's like dark red and black. You see like 10 of these cars per event that we have, and it blows me away. So my whole point of this is to say, Itachi, I didn't think your car was that cool looking, but I appreciate the creativity. The same goes for Fairy Peak 2. His Octane was very, very ugly, but at least it's his own. And the same goes for Justin too. He had this one Octane that just had the two racing stripes, and it was like the standard blue with like purple stripes. It was not very visually appealing, but at least they constantly have their own car designs, is all I'm saying. And of course, you can't talk about EU, in this case EMEA, without also quickly mentioning BDS, the returning juggernaut from last season. They almost swept through the entire tournament, not losing a game. And then they ended up losing in the finals to KC. But look, I'm not really that concerned about BDS in this instance. It's the first tournament of the season, A. B, they were almost flawless all the way until they get to the finals. They missed a couple of goals that would have radically changed some of the games they had in the finals as well. Some really easy open goals that just unfortunately bad luck bounced out of the goal. And also, if you look at their stats on something like Octane GG, their team is basically number one in every single statistical category across every metric. They were flawless and untouchable all the way till they reached the finals. And they lost to a fantastic team. And it's early in the season. So, for all of those reasons, I am not concerned about BDS at all. And I know people were talking about how they seemed frustrated when we were watching them play in that finals. And I know that there was also some oddities with the formatting this time around. It might have led to the frustration where the format that we're used to is whoever is coming from the winners bracket gets an advantage over the team coming from the losers bracket, right? So you only have to beat the losers bracket team once, but then if you're the team coming in from the losers bracket, you have to beat the top seed twice. So in that context, if it was the same formatting that we used to have, BDS would have won in the first set. They won the first one, but then they lost the next two. They end up losing the whole thing. All I'm saying is that with all of the factors that we know about them, with the tournament they had leading up to this point, everything that is involved, I'm not worried about BDS. They are a phenomenal team. They might be the best team that we have ever seen in professional Rocket League. So I am not worried about them moving forward this season in the slightest. Also, one quick note on them. I know that everybody talks about Monkey Moon when they talk about this team. He's one of the best players in the world for sure. I think this team reminds me a lot of those Spurs teams that had Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker, where Monkey Moon is basically your Tim Duncan. Not everything he does is flashy, but he's an incredibly smart player. He's one of the best players in the world, and he's just so consistent with the things that he does well that he's unstoppable, and he leads the team in this charge to perfection in most cases. Mark by 8 is more of your Manu Ginobili. He's this quick, crafty, score first kind of guard. Where with Mark, you're always nervous about his offensive game, right? He can turn quickly on balls. Monkey Moon can intercept a ball in the midfield and just drop a dime on Mark's head, and they can put in a goal in within 2 seconds. And then Extra, I guess in this case, I think he's the least viable of the three being paralleled, but Extra is basically your Tony Parker, right? Facilitating. He is kind of making sure that everything goes well. He doesn't play as big of a role as someone like a Monkey Moon would, right? Like his importance to this team is, I think, much more important than Extra's, even though Extra is critical to their success. All three of them are. But yeah, something that I picked up with on Monkey Moon, a part of his game that I think I undervalued quite a bit is his ability to read bounces. I don't think many people read bounces like Monkey Moon does, from the sense that his ability to put these booming clears way downfield when the defense is in a tough spot, or his ability to know where the ball is going to go off a clear from the other team. The amount of interceptions that Monkey Moon has on the sidewall that turn into quick transition offense is ridiculous. Like there's so many of these cases where the opposing team is just working their way down the field. They have a guy in transition over in the other corner, right? Like everybody's moving upfield, and Monkey Moon will just cut up the wall and cut the ball off, and then just, like I said, just drop a dime to Mark by 8 or Extra or a pass to himself. It's just incredible the amount of times that they can very quickly counterattack. And then the team from EU I think I was most excited for going into this event was Dignitas. I mean, everybody was curious what they were going to look like with the addition of Scrubkilla, former world champion, of course, with Team Vitality. He bounces around a little bit. Last year, he's with Singularity. That doesn't really work out. He's had a muddled history of things always not working out with Scrubkilla. So now he comes into this situation with apparently Jack and Jorias, who are two of the best young talents in EU. They're going in without a coach to this to kind of see how that works out. And I thought they came out looking really, really good. I mean, everybody knows the amount of skill that apparently Jack brings to the table. Jorius has these moments where he's very much a momentum based player. If he scores a single goal, especially with his mechanics, if he hits something mechanical, then Jorius kind of loosens up and just continues to do these crazy mechanical plays moving forward. And Scrubkilla was doing exactly what I thought he should do, where we don't see, this is actually something Lawler talked about in the broadcast, where we don't see apparently Jack and Jorius feeling this need to like facilitate directly to Scrubkilla to get him involved. Instead, the two of them are playing their game, and Scrubkilla is just kind of there. You can see this, his goal participation over the course of the tournament wasn't super high, which is exactly what you want to see. He didn't have a lot of shots, not a lot of participation. All he's doing is letting the two of them play their game, and he's filling in the gaps, scoring when needed to. And oh my God, probably one of the best defenders, if not the best defender of the whole tournament, was Scrubkilla. There was so many situations where Dig was put in a weird spot where it's just Scrub one-on-one, flat-footed with like no boost in the goal, and he saved them almost every single time. It was incredibly impressive. I'm probably going to be watching more Dignitas than any other team this season, especially from the EMEA region, just because I'm so fascinated by what they're going to continue to look like. How are they going to deal with adversity? How is their team going to continue to morph and kind of be more cohesive together? Something I'd be really interested to see if they improve on is the communication between Jorias and Scrub. There was a lot of incidents where they're double committing to balls. We heard it during comms too. They're both just like, I got it. And they both go for it over and over again. That puts them in tough spots. I think that something that works out really well for this team is that not only do Jack and Jorias have a lot of respect for Scrub, but also Scrub has a lot of respect for the two of them as well. So I think that mutual respect will force them to all to continually work on their games and just improve as a team overall. And now for NA, we got to start up top with the big dogs, Team Envy, looking as good as they always do. Envy is so good at locking other teams in their own box. Like once you're on your back foot and the three of you are all defending from within your back half in goal, 9 times out of 10, Envy will eventually just constrict and strangle you until they score on you. Basically, what they do from looking at goals in this tournament that fit that criteria, where they're just in your third, just peppering you with shots until they score. What they do is they have missed an atomic on the walls, typically just dropping balls in, and Turbo just sits in the box, basically stationary, just waiting for everyone to miss. And then his ability to like very accurately shoot within the box exactly where the defender can't get it is unmatched. Something that they do especially well is Miss and Atomic will intercept a ball when they have you kind of strangled in your box, like I'm talking about. They'll intercept a pass that you're trying to clear. And then once the ball is kind of going on target, as opposed to keeping with the ball and following it up, they will just intentionally try and demo someone on the line. So they're continuing to keep the ball in, but also they're getting a demolition. It's almost as if that war of attrition continuing to break you down on your own line by demoing you and just keeping the ball in play is more important than shooting or scoring a lot of times. Like you'll see a lot of players on other teams when they get an interception, they're just trying to shove the ball into the goal and it doesn't always work. If it dribbles out to the middle, it's just an easy clear downfield. But Envy doesn't even always try and score directly. They're trying to pass, get the demo, and then allow someone else to score off of that. And it works all the time. Also, they are unparalleled in their ability to continue mixing things up. You never know what to expect from Team Envy, not only in a set perspective where they're changing game after game, but even within games individually, they're changing things up. You don't know whether or not they're going to try and get a 50 on you, whether or not they're going to try and dribble, whether or not they're going to pass, shoot, whatever they're going to do. They're constantly switching it up in a lot of micro ways that play with opposing teams' heads and also just their ability to work throughout the field. I mean, Envy is so good. I love watching them play. And then I feel like we have to go NRG next. Even though they were not in the finals, everyone picked up on this. They just didn't look super crisp. I think that's totally fine. Everyone is talking about how Justin just came back from a long hiatus. There was a post that he had made several months back just talking about not just like his mental health, but his mental focus towards the game of Rocket League and just how he was taking a break to kind of keep invigorated with things over the long haul. And look, he's just coming back. I know that Garrett and Squishy were talking about he just completed his ranked games, right? His placements. Not that that's important. Like it's not like ranked is the whole thing. These guys are scrimming and keeping sharp and everything. But with all of that said, this is a first tournament. They didn't look super sharp. Justin has to play better. He will play better. Squishy has to play better. He will play better. I thought Garrett looked really good as he always does. So I'm not worried about this team that much. And yeah, I think the biggest thing that they struggled with, because Justin still had crazy stats. He still had incredible goal participation. He still had a lot of goals over the tournament overall. His rating overall was super high. The biggest thing that I had seen was just micro missed mechanics by Squishy, turning the ball over, not being able to catch on his own back wall, messing up air dribbles to passes. He just didn't look super crisp. But again, I know that they're going to fix that. I'm not too worried about that. And then maybe the surprise of the tournament, at least for me, was Shopify Rebellion. I knew this team was good. I knew the roster that they were bringing into this, but I was not expecting them to look as sharp as they did. I think that Rapid was probably my favorite player of the entire tournament. He was popping off all over the place. His game looked super sharp. He even outshined Beast Mode, which is crazy to say because Beast Mode has the ability to throw down some crazy stuff. And also, Memory is in a lot of those same ways that Stake is. He brings, I think, a little less offense to the table than Stake does, but his ability as kind of a glue guy to give them what they need as the two of them work through their games, that being as Rapid and Beast Mode are kind of doing their things, Memory's ability to keep the ship steady and facilitate to them and have his own game still be a part of that. They're a really impressive lineup. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing more of Rapid. I'm sure that Beast Mode is going to have some series and some tournaments that he looks even better than he did, which is crazy because I thought he looked really good in this too. And then finally, I really want to talk about FaZe. I know that it's tough that they had a sub, right? Dapper is in there for Illusion going forward. That won't be the case, which it's a real bummer that Dapper is a sub for this team just because he's so good. Like He's not, he's of course, I'm not saying that he's one of the best players in the world or anything, even in NA, but what Dapper brings to the table is just this veteran consistency, these little shots that you wouldn't expect. But I was looking over the stats here, and something that Dapper gives you in a really good way is this ability to, in the same way that we were talking about, all of these teams that have two really good mechanical offensive players, whether that's your KC when we're talking about Stake, whether that's Memory when we're talking about Shopify Rebellion, or in this case, when we're talking about what Dapper brought to FaZe Clan when you have First Killer and AJ on your team. I mean, the stat that I'm trying to get to is that if you go to Octane GG and you filter by time furthest away from the ball, Dapper led every player in the tournament in amount of time like spent furthest away from the ball. And it makes sense because I'm looking at some of these first killer numbers, and everybody knows like the player that first killer is. But I have some of the stats here. I wrote them down. First killer in this tournament was number one in all of these categories. Number one in boost per minute, number one in boost collected, boost stolen, average speed. And by the way, number two in average speed for the whole tournament was AJ, and number four was Dapper. So this entire team is just rapidly moving the whole game. First killer, number one in supersonic speed time, number one in supersonic speed percent, and also number one in demos. So this dude is just an absolute meteor flying around the field, stealing all the boost, always supersonic, always in your half, always close to the ball, demoing you. He's such a nuisance and such a force. It's crazy to see. And I thought AJ looked really good in spots. I think that AJ can play a lot better than he did, which will contribute to FaZe having even better results over the course of this upcoming RLCS season. And then as they put Illusion back into the mix here, who Dapper's really, really good. I really like Dapper as a player. I think Illusion is probably an upgrade over Dapper. So really excited to see what this team looks like once they're all back together. And just some thoughts quickly on the tournament overall. WePlay Esports did an awesome job with this broadcast. I really liked the presentation. I really liked the booth setup that they had. I thought that the broadcast in and of itself was super crisp, and I thought the format was great. Awesome tournament overall. I really hope that it went well for them because I really enjoyed it. And in case you missed this tournament overall, you can just look WePlay Esports up on YouTube. They put the VODs up for all the days. They even put up highlight videos for a lot of the matches, which I thought was super, super helpful. It's something that we don't always get, and we have to wait on third party YouTube pages to put those up for us to see highlights of. So I really appreciated that. And in case you missed the tournament overall, we ended up having Envy pull off the win in this one. They beat Shopify Rebellion in the finals. NRG was our third place. And then on the other side, in the EU EMEA region, we had Armine Core, Astral, Itachi, and Stake taking first place. We had them beating Team BDS, and in third place from that region was Team Dignitas. So that's my thoughts on some of the teams that we had and in the event overall. If you don't have time to go back and watch all of the VODs, I would recommend a couple of series very highly. I thought the Team Vitality versus Dignitas, the second time they played, which I think was day 3 or day 4. Anyways, that series was phenomenal. I really enjoyed watching it. I thought the BDS and KC final was top tier Rocket League as well. And then Envy versus FaZe Clan, 7-game series. Every game was a 1-goal game. That was a phenomenal series as well. So I would highly recommend going to catch at least one of those if you're in the scene and just trying to stay on top of things and just want to be entertained. Those ones were some standouts from me. But guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. I know that this is not my typical content. So if you clicked on the video expecting NBA, I think I'm going to be doing both moving forward. I spend a lot of time watching both of these. I've watched a lot of esports over the course of my life, but I don't think anything has ever grabbed me like Rocket League has and continues to do. But yeah, if you watched the tournament over the weekend, what players and teams stood out to you? What did you think of the event overall? And what do you think we're going to see going into this next RLCS season from some of these teams? I would love to hear y'all's thoughts and opinions on that. But again, guys, thank you so much. And I'll catch you next time.